Um, Hello and good morning, everyone. Hope all is well with everyone. Um, as we get started, are there any questions about anything whatsoever that any of you may have been thinking about, something that occurred in your life at some point, or just anything in particular?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, when I close my eyes, am I in the spiritual realm? And I may not be aware that I'm there at times, but how will I know that's where I am? Because I have a lot of experience in the physical realm, but there are times when I want to like just get away, and I know I can do it in my mind. I don't have to do it physically, but how will I know that's where I am in the spiritual realm? That's my question.
Well, when you ask, are you in the spiritual realm? It's kind of a tricky question, depending upon what you mean by that. Do you mean consciously?
Yes.
Okay, because you are. But I guess as we've been talking about the past few weeks, for who and what you are always, in a sense, in the spiritual realm. It's more so a matter of where your attention is at that particular moment in terms of your experience, whether or not you are consciously in the spiritual realm, in a sense. So, as I was talking about the inner ego before, it is always connected and very conscious of the spiritual realm as it creates and regulates your body, etc. In terms of your conscious mind, once we always have access to the spiritual realm in terms of being conscious of it and being in tune with our inner senses. And in a sense, when you close your eyes, yes, you have the ability to consciously enter your spiritual realm. You have the opportunity, or you can at times be quiet in a sense. And I guess you would say more so feel your inner senses. In that sense, in that particular time, yes, you are in a spiritual, non-physical realm. But
I
anyone like
think,
to go ahead?
yeah, just to add to that, I remember I was listening to the video from Monday, and Pastor talked about being submissive versus becoming aware. We look at it as I'm being submissive to that inner voice or that soulful part of me, but you are actually becoming aware of it and becoming aware of who you are. So, as you mentioned, over the last couple of years, particularly, I think we have become more and more aware of who we are and being more aware of that soulful part of us. So you are always in that spiritual place. I think we are just becoming so it's becoming the norm now more so than I got to meditate and I got to get there. I think we're already there. So I think we are in a spiritual place. It just sometimes as Evelyn stated, we don't recognize where we are, but I think we're always there.
Yeah, and I would also say, Evelyn, on the heels of what Ron said, this actually takes place all the time, but it's not as if it's more so like a light switch that is, turning on and off. So, for example, when you are just sitting there, you can have your eyes wide open when you go into meditation. When you drift off and you're daydreaming, etc., your consciousness is switching from the physical realm as you know it, and this happens all the time on a daily basis. This has always been a part of our life and our physical, reality and existence. It's just that we were not aware that that was actually taking place. And of course, we mentioned when you are dreaming, of course, in your sleep, you are definitely, even though your body remains in the physical form, your consciousness, in a sense, is in another reality. I was thinking about it earlier today, and as I mentioned before, the same rules that don't that apply in the physical realm don't apply in the dream state. Your thoughts immediately come and will create a form. When you think of something, feel something, it actually happens immediately. Versus in the physical realm, that thing it takes longer, or there's a delay, I would say, before it becomes physically manifested. But yes, even as we've been maybe talking, your attention has drifted. Any other thoughts or questions or comments about that?
Well, I want to tell you why I asked that question is because I keep telling myself that there's more. There is more than what I'm experiencing. Maybe I'm just not aware of it, but I just know that there's more than me going to work every day, dealing with my situations and then others people carrying, all of us carrying this life situations, what we're dealing with. I just feel that there's more, and I keep telling myself there's more, just chill, relax, hold, just stay the course. But there is more than just experiencing this this physical life that I experience and see on a daily basis. And I know I'm not the only one that feel that way. So that's why I put that question out there, because I know everybody is saying there's more.
Evelyn, I say that every day. I say that every day. I'm out there at work or doing whatever task I'm doing. You are absolutely right. And there is more. I even say that when I'm studying the scriptures, or I'm listening to the videos of like I was listening to the videos of Monday and listen, and I stop and pause when I hear something, and I was like, okay, I get that, but there's more to it. I say that now about everything, but I really, really say that about my life. And I stop sometime and I have to remind myself, this is the reward that you asked for. I know what you're saying, Ron. And part of your life is giving up all that other stuff. From my perspective, what I see is I don't have a lot of distractions in my life. I don't have, I can study when I want, I can read when I want. So that within itself, I use as a reward. But you're right. The job isn't enough, or the pay, or the complaining and all the griping and that you hear throughout the day. But I have to remind myself, I'm here for a reason, and although I don't always appreciate it or want to be there, I am where I'm supposed to be, I suppose. So I know that doesn't help. That's no consolation at all. But
yes, it is, Ron.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Because I go through the same thing. I'll tell you what I did yesterday that shocked me. I was off yesterday. I was off, and I was, I was just giddy about it. I couldn't wait for Friday. And then Thursday came, and they were talking about bringing my work group in on Saturday, and the guys were griping and complaining about it because they needed to hit a target. So I'm like, well, I'm off Friday, so I don't have to worry about Saturday. But what did I do? I volunteered to come in so we could hit the target, so they wouldn't have to come in. Now I got up that morning and said, what were you thinking? What is wrong with you? And mad at myself. And I had to catch myself during the day, later when I got there and things were a mess. And then I really kind of hit the fan, when I saw the mess they left for me. But we hit the target and nobody had to work today. Nobody had to work. So, I look at it and say, we ask for things on one level, but we don't always know what it's going to look like. And it doesn't look like how I'd want it to look, and neither does my professional life or personal life for that matter. But spiritually, I'm at the place where I'm supposed to be. And that means the rest of it, I suppose, falls in line and becomes the fuel or the energy to get me at this place I am spiritually.
I hear you, Ron, because none of us know what life will bring us. So with you saying what you just said, yeah, you're right. You didn't know it was going to be that way when we signed up for what we're dealing with now, but I hear you.
I listened to my boss the other day. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. He said, we a bunch of managers are standing around talking, and he said, well, it's awards day at my daughter's school. I'll see you guys later. I'll be back in a couple of hours. He said, I don't know what time, so I'll just call you. And somebody else said, yeah, I'm going to meet my wife for lunch. And I'm talking, wow, what's missing here? What's missing here? These guys can so easily walk out and do what they want to do and have their priorities and their families. And, and for a second there, that bothered me. And I just have to remind myself of who I am and what I asked for. I don't have that. But that is their reward. And that is enough for them. And I gotta see that I have my enough as well. I have what I asked for. So that's my reward. I just don't always appreciate it until Saturday, Sunday, and Mondays. I do. But thank you for the question. I mean, because I think everybody goes through that.
I think, Evelyn, you've definitely, I know you've definitely taken a step by acknowledging and telling yourself that it must be more. Now, with that, when you said it must be more, and it's going to sound almost backwards, but the key and ability to actually change that, as we discussed last weekend, in terms of not concentrating on that particular thing where it's the lack or the thing that you don't like, but concentrate on that thing as you wish they were, or more so as you desire, I would say, that they be. And what you start doing, because, and I'm going to explain why I'm actually saying this. And I said it when I was talking about the dream state compared to, physical reality. It is with our thoughts that we create form, that we create the physical world, and the physical world is manifested. But it's also it is a learning stage, but it's also a feedback loop, because what can happen is we, as individuals and as a society, can create a particular thing or a particular scenario, see that, read it, and then concentrate on that thing that we have created. And as we keep on concentrating on that thing we have created, we continue to build upon that same thing or in that same direction. So one thing that can be done, and I too have had similar situations recently, I would definitely say, in the past year at my job as well, to start to actually at the same time look for those things that you are actually thankful for, or look for the things that matter most to you. And all the stuff I'm talking about, stuff that I am, like I've been dealing with myself and still currently working on. Minimize the importance of how prominent this job is in your life. And what I mean by that is, don't let that be the highlight of your day. Don't let that be the thing that dominates your conscious mind that you are concentrating on. Uh, Tell yourself or realize that you are only going maybe to work, but that's not your life. Um, a few years ago, I was working a crazy number of hours, and I was not happy about it whatsoever because my workload was, greater than everyone else. And I'm talking about basically just going home from work just enough just to, shower and go to sleep, and then wake up and do the same thing, and even working across the weekend as well. And I would get annoyed every time just thinking about it, and I would just concentrate and fester on it. The idea that I'm going to work, I'm going to work, I'm going to work. Whenever someone asks me or texts me whatever what I'm doing, a call, I'm at work. And then I had to change my mindset. So I started off by doing something real simple. And what I did was, instead of saying that I'm going to work or I'm at work, I would say that I'm at the office, going to the office. And in my mind, those two things resonated with me totally different. Work just seemed like to me something that was just being done, something that I didn't care for. It was just routine and for really no purpose and no value, so to speak. So work could have been some way in the field digging with a hole with a shovel, not necessarily for a purpose. When I started saying that I was going to the office, and how I thought about it and looked at the office was that not concentrate on the work part, but more so the aspect that I'm gaining skills or I'm learning and just interacting, so to speak, with the stuff that I'm doing. So it completely changed my mindset. And it's not just about only changing, your mindset, but as you start to see things or experience things in a different light, that begins slowly to change the conditions for which you are um, uh, in terms of what you're dealing with. So all of a sudden, you're not in that same job, so to speak, with your daily experience. And it may also lead to a different job, a different circumstance. But the point is that it all starts with how we look at things. And so that's why I'm telling you that you do not like, and I'm not saying this doesn't take work, but try to stop concentrating on your job being the thing that you feel like you're only waking up to do. That is only a portion of your day. Make it a point when you get home or when you leave work, that work no longer exists. You are enjoying your day. Don't carry work with you throughout literally the entire week. And then also on Sunday afternoon because you're dreading to go to work the next day. As you and I know you definitely will do this. Make it a point to tell yourself, no, I am going to enjoy this moment. No, I am going to enjoy what's in front of me at this moment. No, I am going to enjoy, my evening. Work will be there whenever I get to it, but I'm not at work right now. So why am I at work? Mentally. Look for those things outside of work during the day that bring you joy, and this can be seemingly little small things, but I assure you, after a while, it starts to have a great impact on your experience.
Well, I want to say this, and I'm not going to. I don't want to tie up the questions, but I like what I do on a daily basis. I don't want anyone to get me wrong about that. I enjoy my job. I like getting up in the morning, going to work because I know I'm going to help somebody. But I just want to say this, going back to what Ron said, and thank you, Sheldon. What you said makes a lot of sense. How Ron said he volunteered to go in, so the others wouldn't have to do it. There was a supervisor position open, and a lot of people ask me, Evelyn, are you going to take it? I say, ain't enough money in Columbia for me to take that position. But then I thought about it, and something told me, say, look, go ahead, apply for the position, get the position. So I did, and I took that position not because of the money. It's because I didn't want somebody new to come in. I know the people on my job who I work with. I didn't want somebody else to come in and just come and just, be. I don't know how their attitude was going to be on the job, but I know these people, and I know what they deal with. I know when they're up. I know when they're down. I just didn't want someone new to come in there and just take over. But I understand everything what you're saying, you and Ron and whoever's thinking on this line. But I understand what you guys are saying, and I appreciate it. And thank you for answering my question. I appreciate it.
And I would like to add, I think both of us in our situations partially anyway answered while we're there. We answered while we're there. We may not always see it, but we're there for others. We're there because of our energy. And the advice that Sheldon gave, we talked about Monday night. But, in that situation, Friday, I didn't use it. I was kind of angry about, the situation I was left in. But yeah, it's sound advice. But I think I appreciate your question. I think it kind of puts things in perspective for a lot of us. Although you the one asking, I think that'll help a lot of people.
Good morning, Sheldon. May I add one thing to that too?
Sure.
This is Kat. Good morning. I'm listening and I agree. And just like Ron and Evelyn, when I worked, because I'm retired now, you come in contact with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different types of energy that does impact how you feel throughout the day. And you're always monitoring and adjusting, checking yourself and trying to stay true to who you are. And I think as a retired person, I was looking at the grass being greener on the other side of the fence. And I just couldn't wait to retire because in my mind, I would set the parameters. I would be in complete control of who I would be around and what type of energy I would allow to impact my day from day to day. And I would be in control and all would be perfect. Well, I have learned that is not true. I don't care where you are, working, not working, whatever the situation is, if you deal with people in any type of situation. I mean, right now I've joined a social club. Well, not a social club. It's actually a service club. And just serving the community and doing different things has put me in the position to be with personalities of people who are not in it for the service, but looking for opportunities to climb socially. I now see that I'm dealing with some personalities that were far greater and stronger and worse than what I thought it was when I worked. Because having worked for 39 years with most of those people, like Evelyn says, you know your people. You get to know what you're dealing with. Coming into something new where you don't know the people and all of a sudden you're being put in this position to deal with various personalities. So I want to say, even if you take your job out of the situation, and the job impacts us greatly because when we're working, that is the bulk of where we spend our time just about is on that job. But I no longer have a job to go to, and I am still dealing with that, with energies and negativity and things that make me feel some type of way, but I'm learning because of who we are. That is our path. I don't think we're going to get away from that. Even if you don't go to work another day, you're still going to have to be and live in a community of people and be around people. And I've learned it doesn't change. What it does is it gives me opportunities to see who I am. And it gives me opportunity to work with them in a way that I'm still going to be loving kindness, open peace, even when they frustrate me, even when I'm thinking, what are you doing? You're not even about the work that you said you wanted to join the service organization to be a part of. But it's constant drama all the time. And I keep thinking, well, this isn't what I signed on for. I didn't expect this. But then I'm learning to ask myself, why didn't you expect it? You're dealing with people, right? Anytime you're dealing with people, not everyone is going to have your mindset, and not everyone is going to have the teaching and the understanding of situations that we've been taught. And it is up to us to be that example. And that's hard sometimes. I get that. And it makes us feel all type of different ways. And I've been more upset in the last week than I have in the last year. And I have to keep going back to who I am, what we're teaching, what I know. Like I heard Ron say, holding on to what you're getting Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It becomes that lifeline, truly, because it helps us to stay in a place of balance. So I just wanted to share that I thought the grass would be greener on the other side. But anytime you're going to deal with people, you just expect to get what you get, and you just have to deal with it. And I just wanted to share that this morning. So thank you.
I concur with everything that has been said. Evelyn, I am going to pick at you right quick for just 1 second. Evelyn, you've already made a lot of changes at that job. You already come on here and told us how you ran them other people off. And you are now in a higher position to have a greater impact. So I would also say I'm glad and it's good that you enjoy what you do and you want to help. So now it is incumbent upon you, or the next step for this new position that you have, to concentrate on now what you want that position to look like, what you desire it to be. And like Kathy said, in terms of dealing with many different types of people who are dealing with their own life and seeking a way, in a sense, and in a sense, trying to find themselves as well. And it just so happened that the people that we encounter, as well as some of the people that encounter us, we're just on different places of that journey. So in those type of situations, which, like I said, I too am working on, it becomes a matter of minimizing the impact that those people have on us, and to try to have more patience and let those things be so dominant in our life. But it's not just a matter of not interacting with them at all. And it's also not a matter of dismissing them and looking down upon them. These are the things that we have to do ourselves. And in terms of our existence in our life, it's not incumbent upon for those other people to automatically change. It is for us to change ourselves from within and work on ourselves, and then the world around us changes accordingly.
Thank you, Sheldon. I didn't know I ran them off, but thank you.
You know how you was used to come up here and tell us how to some people had got let go who didn't have a heart for the people who that y'all were trying to help and things of that nature. So yes, you ran all those people off, and then you came on here and told us now today that yes, I like the people I work with, they're good people. So you kept all the people you wanted and ran the others off whose heart was not in it. So you've already changed things a lot there. Yes, you did that.
Thank you.
Can I add one other thing, though?
Sure.
And Sheldon, we've been talking for the last couple of years now about things needing to be exposed, all the things we see in politics and all the greed and then racism and all this stuff, and it has to be exposed before it can be fixed. Well, we're gonna probably face a lot of that in our own journeys, on our own personal journeys. So it just not on a large scale. It's going to happen in my little world. It's going to happen with Sheldon and with Evelyn and with Kathy. It's going to happen in all our little worlds. And as you said, and as we talked about Sunday and Monday, we know what we're supposed to focus on. It ain't easy. But we focus on who we are, and we focus on the change that we want to see. So just wanted to add that little piece.
Any other thoughts or questions about, I guess, what it is that we're talking about at this moment?
Hey everyone, it's Nick. Yeah. And thank you everyone. I definitely agree with everything that's been said. I just wanted to the spiritual challenge of every moment that you are aware is to learn how to be the center of the storm, or the eye of the storm, so to speak. And not in the sense that you take the storm along with you, but that the storms you encounter cannot exist within the space you created within yourself, and as an extension of yourself, your environment in whatever context. And that begins within yourself first, within your own awareness and your own subconscious. And then that extends to your environment. And as you learn to bring peace to your own subconscious and your own sort of mental and emotional state, that radiates outwards and becomes like a seed that other sort of places of peace can grow from. It's kind of like whenever we're dealing with, things that are potential stressors or distractions, or just the things that we deal with in everyday life, in relationships and circumstances, etc. Those are all sort of opportunities to recognize how to find that sort of center of peace within that particular moment. And in so doing, you learn how to sort of be that peace in that situation. And then everyone vibes off of that, whether they are aware of it or not. And that sort of blueprint is how it all works, from even if you're just by yourself in your meditation, whether you're in a crowded room full of people, it's all the same process. It's just a different context in which it takes place. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Are there any other thoughts or questions? Are there any other questions in general that someone may have about what we've been discussing this for, or anything else for that matter that may not be related?
Yes, this is Andrea. I was just listening to what Ellen and Ron were saying, which I agree with, and of course yourself. But I'm looking at too. I ain't gonna say but where I'm working at, and I know it's just not going on where I'm at, but it's around the world. But it is me to see, not just myself, but see people in the workplace being mistreated. It's just like they try to make the employees work harder. You would think that the team leads were, they see something where this operator needs help or whatever, it's like they walk by. The superintendent, his job, if you look at it, just the superintendent. I mean, there's like nobody trying to help anybody, and they just feel like they could treat anybody any kind of way that they want, but they want us in there. But like you say, they could take off when they want to take off, and this and this and this, and it's frustrating. But at the same time, I try to look at it from a different perspective. Not saying that it's easy to do, but I try to take my mindset, off of. But it's still, at the end of the day, it still bothers me, because I think if you want employees to, well, first of all, respect goes both ways. And I know we in there to get a paycheck, but we're not in there to be mistreated any kind of way. And how can a person do their job if it's like they don't want to provide the necessarities for the people to do the job? They make certain things important, but safety is not important, and none of that's important. But I just needed to get that out. But I'm just trying to see it I'm listening to what everybody's saying, and I'm trying to see it from a different perspective than what I'm looking at it. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you, Angela, for your question and comment. So a few weeks ago, well, no, like a week ago, as we talked about the idea of war, and we talked about that the solution, in a sense, to stop a war is not to fight war with the hatred of war. It is to focus on the love and joy of peace, um, and more so harmony and balance of things being aligned together that actually creates those conditions where war is not as prominent or war does not exist. So I'm going to talk about it first from an internal perspective. What happens in a sense when we war against something. So we also talked about the inner and outer ego, and we talked about how the inner ego is not just responsible, but it does create and regulate our bodies and things of that nature, our health. We also talked about how that is affected from our thoughts when we are extremely frustrated, mad or upset or, feel disconnected and things of those nature. In a sense, our inner ego is following the guidance of our own thoughts, and all of that percolates in our body. And then those things also are not necessary. We're not necessarily aligned from within. So yes, all those things that you were talking about were definitely true in a sense. And Ron mentioned it. We perpetuate those things, or at least go along with those things, when we only stop and to concentrate on those things that we do not like. And I agree with you. Believe everyone on this phone will agree with you that we don't care for those things. And a lot of us have seen or definitely experienced that, if not now, definitely before. And so what it does is it does become responsibility of ourselves, kind of like even how Nick was just talking about, for us to, I don't want to say just necessarily ignore those things, but concentrate on the things that we desire. Now, whether or not that actually means that you continue to work there or not, I'm not telling you to continue to work there or not continue to work there. So I definitely don't want you to take it that way. But it's a matter of that's how we change the world. And Pastor Richard was talking about that's how we change our environment. We can't make anyone do anything, but we can, in a sense, change. You might want to say vibes or energy, etc., in the area where things already may be chaotic, so to speak, and a storm, in a sense, kind of on your workplace. You be the calm in that workplace, but it has to be done. That calmness has to come from within yourself. Um, yeah, but I guess that's all I have at the moment. Any other thoughts or comments on that?
I guess, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to continue from where Sheldon left off and take it back to Evelyn's question of sort of how do I recognize when I'm in the spirit world, so to speak. And Sheldon was 100% correct, like you're always in it. But the calmness that he's talking about gives you the space in whatever environment you find yourself to feel and sort of hear, quote unquote, the influence of the spirit world in the way that Evelyn meant it, I think. And it's always there and always present, but it's just a relatively different experience relative to this sort of physical world we're used to waking up in, even though they're all connected and part of the same thing. And that calmness, that sort of being the eye of the storm, allows you to draw more of the aspects of our experience that we're unfamiliar with, those sort of realms of this total spiritual reality that we're unfamiliar with or less familiar with. It allows us to draw down those aspects of the total experience into this more sort of regular everyday experience. It's always there, but everything that we deal with on a day-to-day forms a kind of a barrier of distraction, or like a barrier that we have to punch through in order to get to those other things that we don't realize are always available to us in terms of our relative experience within this total spiritual reality.
And Ron, right before you, sorry, Nick, you were finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ron, just right quick, I wanted to add something on to right quick to what Nick said before you, if you don't mind, before you give your comment. Angela, what that more so looks like from a practical standpoint is that when we talk about understanding or having more so of awareness in who and what we are, and we talk about many times in terms of being more aware of our inner senses, and in a sense, because of that, understanding and knowing deep down that, and Evelyn mentioned this as well when she talked about she knew it had to be more than this, that in a sense we're more powerful than this situation that is presently in front of us in the physical, or that we have an ability to have a say-so or determine what that is. We're not subjugated to whatever is going on. It's not something that's just happening to us that we have no power. Now, when I say all of that, what I then mean is when you go into that job, what you first do is you feel the calmness and the compassion within yourself. You take that in the building. That is a part of the reality that you were experiencing at that particular moment. That for which you desire, you feel that and experience that within yourself. And then those things begin to permeate out. That's what Nick is talking about, calming the storm. And it can start off from you just telling yourself that, yes, but was also going beyond that and just not telling yourself that, but it becoming a part of you because you believe it 100%. You not only believe it 100%, you know it. That thing is fact. That calmness that you're feeling, that compassion that you're feeling, it is real. It is your real life experience. And then from that, experiencing that within yourself and from within, like I said, it permeates outward. That's what it is that we're talking about. Ron?
Okay. I have a supposition, I guess, kind of, sort of. Suppose this thing that you and Nick are describing, and what we are uncomfortable with is we are becoming coverings. We are coverings in our environment, in our worlds, and we are not familiar with it. And we're trying to become comfortable with where we are. This what you're describing, what Nick's describing, is a transformation. And suppose that's what it is. We are becoming the coverings for those people that are in these places, even the ones that have mistreated us, and we don't feel a part of all the time. Suppose that's it. And we as we go through this transformation and become this thing, we do become more sensitive to those who are mistreated. We become less tolerant to the injustices, and it makes us feel uncomfortable. So maybe that's it. We're not just, we know that we're not here just happenstance. We're in these places, and we're not just here as we may have started at some point entering these places for a paycheck, but that certainly has become a lot more than what we are now. So that's just another way of looking at it, because I agree with you. We moved to a place where what we see and what we are becoming is evidence to us of what is real in the spiritual world, and we recognize that. We just don't always tie it together with the moment of where we are. So just a thought.
No,
Being
go ahead, Ron.
yeah, being a covering is a heck of a responsibility, and it's a big umbrella and a lot of things that you take on that you normally wouldn't take on or normally wouldn't see or allow to touch you. We're seeing now, and we're being asked to embrace. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah, Ron. So it goes hand in hand. So, well, one, this is all more so, a learning experience, as I said before. So even as we talk right now, in a sense, none of the stuff that we're talking about is permanent in terms of what has transpired in the past. So definitely, and I always want to say this, it is not for anyone to get upset or beat themselves up about or anything like that. It's literally like, okay, I shot this shot and I missed it. What did I do wrong? Or more importantly, what can I do better? Or what do I need to change? Is always about making progress, number one. Number two, with that compassion that you mentioned and having for others, that in itself is a realization or an acknowledgement, and that of us experiencing our connectivity to others, and not just looking at ourselves as an individual. So that is a part of us seeing ourselves as part of the whole, so to speak. Now, as you mentioned, the part about being a covering, as we talked about it, and the more we talk about it, and the reason why this makes a lot of people uncomfortable talking about the inner senses and Elohim, et cetera, is because it makes us responsible. And it goes twofold. We have a responsibility, but at the same time, it is a very powerful um, thing. And in a sense, freedom, because it's kind of like we create this reality or our reality as we choose. That is a great gift to create, to have the gift of creating, reality. So it goes hand in hand in terms of being that covering is walking more and more into that power and that freedom and that responsibility of becoming more aware of who and what we are. If we didn't want that responsibility, guess what? Or if we didn't have that responsibility, guess what? We wouldn't be Elohim. We wouldn't be creators.
So I have a question based on what you're saying and what Ron just said. If we are becoming the covering, does that mean that we attract or draw the very thing that frustrates us sometimes, that energy of those people who don't know that they're Elohim? Do we not draw that into our situation, into our realm of reality, and then we are given that opportunity as a result of having drawn that energy? Now we have an opportunity to transform it because of who we are. So I guess my question is, when do we not just attract the very thing that frustrates us the most sometimes, are we not the ones responsible for attracting that to us?
This is my immediate answer to that question. We are covering in a sense, even when we are not aware of it. What I mean by that is things can be, for example, for lack of better words, great in our life or having a great day. And we don't have to be aware of supposedly this turmoil, because this turmoil that is close to us, or this turmoil that someone else is experiencing, is not our reality. But at the same time, when we are not experiencing the turmoil, we can have an effect on that turmoil in terms of bringing some balance or comfort to that person's reality. Now, the idea in terms of being covering, and I say that it depends on how we look at covering. If we look at covering in terms of, I just want to deal with, for lack of better words, a bunch of people with a whole bunch of problems, then that's going to be our focus, and that's what we're going to get as a result, a bunch of people with problems. If we just look at covering as we are just bringing, like I said, peace and love and compassion and awareness to the world without seeing that problematic aspect, then the same thing is occurring. We're bringing that, but it's not necessarily a part of our reality. Does that part make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So our thoughts and the little nuances of them are very, very powerful in terms of our experience. Now, granted, I definitely think we have thought, at least I have thought, that for a very long time. So, like, this is very impactful for me, even as I say it, that we had to engage with what we saw as problematic to being a covering, but that's not necessarily how it has to happen. We don't, it's like we don't have to walk through hell in order to be light. We could be walk in a sense, as a metaphor, we could be light walking anywhere, and the only thing we can see is light, and we just so happen to be bringing light to hellacious situations that we're not even aware of. Thank you for sincerely for your question.
Sheldon, I was listening to Kathy, and she was saying how she retired from doing what the school system, I guess. I think that's what she was doing. But there's no such thing as retiring. This journey never ends. And when she said that, I started laughing because you don't get to retire. We don't have that luxury. And also, and it's not a luxury, but I'm just saying, you just don't have to go to a 9 to 5. That's what I'm saying. But when Ron was talking about covering, I do believe we're all being put in places for the covering. Those who are seeking truth, those who are in pursuit of truth. I think we all are being put in places, different places to be a covering for mankind in general. That's just a thought.
And thank you, Evelyn. You made me laugh today because you're absolutely right. What was I thinking? Thinking that I would retire. There is no such thing as retirement. It is just changing an environment to continue to work somewhere else. And so thank you for putting that in perspective for me.
You're welcome, sister.
And with that said, look into the future to change something, or some physical conditions to automatically change something is a farce. It is us who, I guess, who change the experience of what it is that we're doing, no matter what it is that we're doing. But that idea that we're just looking to the future to escape, the only thing that is doing is prolonging us facing the now to change the thing in the present. We just prolonging it and thinking that it's going to be there in the future, and not realizing, like, no, it's not the future that brings the change. The change has to come now, in a sense, I have to make an effort to make the change now.
Something else you said, Sheldon, and Nick said too. I wanna visit again. You've said it a couple times, where you talk about what to focus on and the energy from that. That is extremely important. And I'm talking to me too, because I dropped the ball on that a couple times this week. And seeing that too in the here and now, the present, at the moment where you are. The reason why that is so important, as Evelyn said something, if you look at the history of the earth since Jesus died, I don't know if there's ever who has been the human in the earth. If that is, that sounds ridiculous, but who has been the human? Who has been the Elohim? So if this is where we are in the here and now, there isn't a whole lot of examples to look at there. The example is internal. The example is the spiritual side of you. The example of is the loving kindness and the forgiveness and so these environments, as we see things that are exposed to us, that has to be where you are to maintain your balance, to maintain your focus, because we've never been here before, guys. We've never, experienced some of the things we've experiencing, and it's easy to go back to your comfort zone, and your comfort zone is not always the right place to be. Comfort zone, sometimes we back off and don't want the responsibility. But if keeping that focus is extremely important in this day and time. But I don't think things are going to get easier at all.
But isn't that why we're here? Isn't that why we are in the places we are? To transform that energy that's trying to manipulate, control, and take over people.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Go ahead, Sheldon. But yeah, you're exactly right. But and that's what I mean. To maintain your focus, maintain who we are, because we and I love these sessions on the phone. I it's, to me, it's therapy, and we all need it. We go through our lives. We are being transformed, but sometimes we get sick and tired, and sometimes we need to refocus. Sometimes we need to sit back and exhale. And that's what we do. We exchange energies over the phone. Give me what you're feeling. Give me your negative. Give me your tired. Give me your frustration, and let's breathe together and transform that, so we can see even more of who we are. So, but yeah, you're exactly right. That's who we are, and that's the purpose.
Nick, were you about to say something?
Not to change subjects, but I was gonna mention the idea that we don't retire. When we take our last physical breath and exit this sort of material vessel that we are operating, that is not a retirement either. But throughout the entire journey, that we are on, to understand the true nature of who and what we are and how we are meant to relate to each other and to the rest of the universe, there are periods of rest and there are periods of motion. And that's pretty much it. There's no such thing as stopping, regardless of what direction you're traveling in. And I remember one of the things Pastor Richard saying a long time ago, our sort of religious concept of the so-called afterlife is very much a place of you basically just don't do anything. except I don't know, sing in a choir for eternity or something like that. But oh no, you do things, and the things that you do in the so-called afterlife, you have the ability to do now and are doing now. When you seek the center and when you seek to be peace within yourself so that that peace can radiate without. These are all parts of the same process that extends beyond this physical experience and will resume in this physical experience when we enter this physical experience again, should we need that experience. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I'm done.
Thank you, Nick. I'm actually going to tie that back to what Ron just mentioned as well. So it's not changing the subject necessarily. Well, it is a changing subject. So Ron, or everyone, we mentioned the idea that we are here essentially learning about our powers, learning about creating form through a thought is only in this particular, we're not gonna say it's the only one, but it's in this physical reality where things are delayed as we actually create them, or they start with a thought, an idea, a belief within our selves. Now, when you said that it is hard, it's hard as we determine it is just as well as easy as we determine it actually is. At this particular point, it has perhaps been a struggle, but how it is going forward is up to us. I mentioned a lot about I don't think I married the two ideas, how our inner ego regulates our bodies, and also mentioned the idea of war and peace. So I want to go in greater detail on a macro level, how that manifests itself outwardly. So we all know there's been quite a few things going on lately in our world with school shootings and things of that nature. And it's this idea in the Bible, which sounded, and I'm gonna say it wrong. I know I am, but y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. Or somebody's gonna correct me. This idea that we don't war with what is it, carnal things? We war with spiritual things. Nobody gonna say it right quick. Well, I thought somebody was gonna say it. Hopefully, y'all know what I'm talking about. Well, the idea
We
is,
wrestle.
go ahead.
Yeah, we wrestle not with flesh and blood. That the one you're talking about.
Yes,
Oh,
that.
I forget the rest of that. Kathy, you know it. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities. Is it? Yeah.
Powers that be, spiritual wickedness in high places, principalities.
Thank you.
No.
Now I'm going to explain that. I always looked at that as being something like I don't know if it was like super human like gods or mutants fighting or something like that, like in the sky. But anyway, what that is talking about, or to give it a real world example of what's been happening and why I say we focus on peace and love and compassion. So we look in the media, we see all of this stuff happening, we hear about the shootings and things like that. And then on top of that, you have a lot of individuals, and I mean just that literally and figuratively, individuals who want nothing but to protect themselves because they don't see themselves as or understand their inner ego at all. Or they think that their only reality and only reality that they're aware of, period, is this physical reality. And therefore, they are their own gods in a sense that they must protect themselves by all means. And so they have a lot of fear as well. So it comes fear and it becomes violence, and it is becoming seemingly disconnected because the whole world, at a sense, is at war with them, and they have to protect themselves. All right. Now, figuratively, here I come along, and I see all of that, and I see the destruction, and I see the killing. So within myself, and what I concentrate on, and what I feel as well is I just see a whole bunch of people losing their lives. I see a whole bunch of people being very, very selfish and mean. I, in a sense, may fear for my life as well. I may, in a sense, fear for the world in general, and just think of the world as being destructive. I think of physical life as being a terrible and horrible thing. I literally look at the physical world, my reality, as hell on earth. I really just wish all of this fighting would stop. Now, as I'm saying that I wish all of this fighting would stop, my entire experience, everything that I've been concentrating on in my life in general, has also just been war and violence and killing and trying to, in a sense, see myself as being protected, seeing my loved ones as being protected, hoping that they're protected because I actually don't believe that. I only see how they're actually not protected. That is all, that is a part of my experience as well. So now, because that is all a part of my experience, I now have affected the macro, affected the world in the same way, where I have just magnified that same exact thing that those people who have been operating, we can say selfishly, or operating from a Cain mindset. And as I put that back out into the world, they only fight against it even more because now they're even more frightened. I've now magnified all the things that they are feeling. And in a sense, they are, at least from their awareness, they are very justified for how they feel. They're fighting back. And so, from a macro level, that is how we, uh, as a society, create our world, create the supposedly terrors of this world. In the same way, in one's body, when someone is deals with extreme anxiety, um, or I won't say mad, but just feel disconnected or do not feel balanced, etc., they create the conditions in their body. Now, what we've been talking about and mentioned several times is we don't put that out. We actually concentrate, or we have a desire, or as Nick say, we experience that thing that we desire or ideal within ourselves, within our present moment. And then that begins to be, or is the thing that we put out. That is the thing that reverses, in a sense, all of that other stuff that I just mentioned before. And that, going back to what Nick just said, is what we are here learning in this physical reality. But this physical reality is a gift, and it is for us to work along with our inner system, excuse me, our inner senses, and in a sense, create joyfully and consciously.
I wholeheartedly agree. Thank you, Teacher Sheldon.
Stop it, Nick.
And I want to add on to that. I think one of the things that sort of collectively anyone who is spiritually seeking in the earth is has the responsibility to do is be an anchor to that spiritual awareness and to that peace when the environment becomes extremely when the tendency of our environment is to influence us to be more anxious, more stressed out, more sort of to focus our awareness on all of this negativity. that is a sort of overwhelming pressure that you feel, especially if you spend any time looking at news or on the internet. But I think the responsibility of all of us is to not allow that to sort of seep into our subconscious awareness as best we can, and to remember that our connection to spirit and what spirit is and who and what we all are is the truth concerning the nature of this experience, regardless of whatever sort of chaotic form it is currently taking. And I think that allows all of us, humanity as a collective, to move forward whenever these periods of sort of emotional or mental sort of chaos and storm seem to wash over all of us. Because I think within that sort of chaotic negativity, there is always a collective desire to move to whatever the next stable state is, whatever it takes to move to a place where we can all experience some sort of collective harmony. That's what we all secretly want. But because there's no blueprint for that that's openly spoken about, then those who are seeking that peace within themselves and to be spiritually aware and connected form that blueprint in the macro, because we become the subconscious of collective humanity, I believe. And so that's why it's so important to not get too wrapped up in all this doom and gloom when it comes to seeing all these negative things. And it's certainly not that we can't be aware of them, but rather we have to understand that there is a greater reality that exists on the outside of our bubble of basically ego and ignorance that we keep trying to perpetuate in our society and in the world.
And anytime we want to snap out of that, or we find ourselves in that loop that I mentioned on the heels of what Nick said, it's important to always remember that if we do not like our current situation or our current reality, to understand or realize and know that it is not permanent. And if we want to change it, we can change it. I think a lot of times when we get caught up in this loop that I just mentioned, it becomes a sense of desperation and also of powerlessness. When I say that things are not permanent, that is a huge gift in a sense that we know that at any point we can change. And that's why, one of the reasons why I say that this is, in a sense, it's just practice. Anything can be changed at any particular moment. At least we can start going in another direction to change our reality for the future. Where we at, or our current disposition, our current reality, is based upon what we have created up until this point, both as a society as well as individually. And it is that those same people with that loop that we got caught in, or I got caught in, that I just mentioned as an example, that is what they're in. They're in a sense of desperation. That is the one thing I think, if we had understood from the very beginning, or very early on in this physical existence, that this life in itself wasn't just like the end all be all, you got to get it right now, or if not, if you mess up, to hell you go. You have to be perfect. It's really not that like that pressure. It's literally just like a kid playing to the sense of finding the joy in life, finding the joy in physical reality as you learn more about yourself and determine what it is that your experience is as you are enjoying this life.
Yes, sir. And that,
Sheldon, I'm just, I'm
Okay.
sorry, Nick, go ahead.
no, I'm good. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I was listening to everything everybody is saying, and I think about this song Hezekiah Walker made, I need you to survive. And all of us need each other. There's no doubt about it. And I think about Pastor Richards, and I don't know why I'm saying this, but when you talk to him, you say, Pastor, how you doing? He never complains. And I don't want to call it complaining because a lot of times it's not complaining, it's venting. But he never says anything but, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm tired. So a lot of times that's my motivation. I can't take what's happening to me personally because it's not just me. I'm in this with everybody. And every time I talk to him, I said, Pastor, how you doing? He just sounds tired. You never, ever hear this man complain. So, and I don't know why I'm crying, but anyway, we need each other. We need each other to survive. If y'all haven't heard that song, out of all the gospel songs, that one, we need each other. That's the only one that talks about mankind. It doesn't talk about selfishness or anything like that. He says, I need you to survive. And I just wanted to just mention that. I'm done.
Thank you, Evelyn. Nick, were you about to say something?
Yeah, it's very true. Thank you. We are all, each of us, a piece of the puzzle, and it cannot be complete on our own. I think the thing that'd be most useful for all of us, well, that we have been doing and should keep doing, is to learn to cultivate our own awareness of our connectedness to spirit. And that is the thing that's going to help us survive individually and us survive collectively more than anything else, I think. And it's all these things are simpler than we've been sort of taught to believe they are, but it's difficult to unwind the layers of complication and sort of noise that we built up on top of them over the course of all of our lives, of course, myself was included. But taking it back to Evelyn, I think you mentioned dreaming near the beginning of today. There's a, well, if you try to relax and meditate before you go to bed, your dreams will be more clearly representative of what is going on inside of you and what you have the ability to experience in quote unquote other realms of reality, other realms of spirit. And again, it's all part of the same thing, the so-called other realms as well as this physical experience. But when we are dreaming, what we're doing is sort of dramatically shifting our focus somewhere else. And what we're shifting our focus to is it kind of depends, I think, but it's all part of the spiritual continuum that we connect to when we are in a more sort of peaceful meditative state, wherein we can sort of hear those things that we are receiving, that the noise of this physical, regular, everyday experience drowns out a lot of the time. And I think that's the one thing we always have to remind ourselves of, and the one thing we have to cultivate in order to survive, in order to maintain our connection to that source of life and light and energy that is the source of all life. That relative to this physical everyday experience that we call spirit. Again, it's all the same thing. It's just a different way of experiencing the same thing, depending on where we are in the total spectrum of that thing. And I'm done.
This always
Thank you.
This always makes me extremely excited talking about dreams, and as we talk about the multi-dimensional selves that we are, and we talk about being more acquainted, with spirit, etc. In our dream state, we are more so conscious of, while we are in a sense focused on that reality. I would say, with other spiritual parts of ourselves that we typically um, ignore or are not as aware of so clearly in the awakened physical reality. With that being said, literally, I think about the idea of pray. But when I say pray, I just mean a desire. Um, Dreams are very powerful when we go to sleep, to the point where anything that you are desiring in your life, um, knowledge, how to handle a situation, create balance, literally anything, just to simply just go as you are going to sleep, being suggestive or having a desire within yourself to cultivate or concentrate on that particular thing in your sleep. And even though your physical body, in a sense, as rest, your consciousness is not at rest at all. And all of those things will be, and I hate using it, I don't say hate, I dislike using the word work, because it seems like it is something that is being done that is necessarily that one may not want to do. So I would say the necessary experiences, because it of course could be joyous occasion, or an adventure, whatever you want to call that reality of what is actually taking place in the dream. Not only is it more possible to remember the dream, there's an effort to do so, or wish to do so, or more so of the ability to do so when you wake up to remember that dream. But even when you don't even remember the dream, those particular things are being worked out in that particular state. So even when I say worked out, I just mean being situated in a sense, or there's growth in that particular area, and that can be with personal relationships. That can be with a greater sense of who and what you are. That can be to experience more so the inner senses, to be more aware of them, to uh, to deal with something like death, literally any impediment or something that you want to work on, like I said, or expand or grow in any way. Those things do take place, but we also play a role in helping to direct those things as well. And that's available to us with 365 and a quarter days a year out of all of our supposedly physical lives, as well as naps and things of that nature, and even daydreaming. I'm done.
Yeah, this is Angela. I wanted to say something. Um, I know we talked about it on the line, but until now, I think I'm more aware because it just came to me. Well, I ain't gonna say it came. It been there, but I think I'm more aware of it. What I'm creating. What am I creating? You know, when things happen, it's how I respond to it. That determines the situation. I'm not saying that it's always going to come out the way I want to, but what am I creating? What am I adding to this fire if something is already burning and I'm adding to it? So I have to be, not just me, we all have to be mindful of what are we creating. Because I've heard y'all talk about it, but it just hit me hard. What are you creating? My desire is to create what I need to create, not just for me, but for mankind. But I just had to check myself, what am I creating? Because sometimes I'm not aware of the things. I know my desire, but sometimes, like if something happens and I respond to it the way that I know that I shouldn't respond to it, but in my mind, I'm not. We have the power to create good, and we have the power to create evil. So now my thing is to be more conscious and be more aware of when these moments happen, you know, to look at what am I creating. If I'm creating things to make it better, or I'm creating things to stay in the same situation and feel the same situation as what was brought to me. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Angela. And yeah, it's literally just moving forward. So just having the understanding and the realization of that is like an immediate, beautiful gift to have that awareness. And I would take it further as we talk about our experience. It's not even a matter of good and evil. Good and evil, in a sense, don't actually exist at all. It's more only thing it is, or when we talk about the and I forgot it already, but y'all just got me correct on it a few seconds ago about the war on principalities and things of that nature. It's literally just a matter of how much awareness actually exists. All of those people that I were talking about who were doing all that things fighting for themselves, it's not that they are evil or bad. It's just that they were trying to protect themselves and not understanding or seeing themselves in that connection to others. They were only trying to survive. So even from that standpoint, it's not good or evil. It's just a matter of how much awareness is there for in any particular area. All of those people who were being nasty for at work, that is more so of who they are based upon their understanding. I use this concept all the time, where a lot of times we think that something is happening to us when really everything that anyone does there is based upon them dealing with themselves and where they see themselves at. It's not realistic to expect someone who lies to themselves all the time to tell another person to tell us the truth. Within themselves, they cannot even be true with themselves. So it's impossible for them to all of a sudden to come and be truthful with someone else, because in order to be truthful with someone else, they have to first acknowledge the truth with themselves first. So in the same way, when these people, we going back to Cain and Abel, when we think about these people who are not showing compassion and all these other things, in many cases, they also don't really have the same compassion for themselves. They don't think themselves really to be worthy of love. They don't experience that compassion from others. Had they experienced the compassion or very familiar with the compassion from others, it would automatically compel them to be compassionate as well. So we don't even have to look at it as good and evil. And once again, that's something that we kind of been taught traditionally from a religious standpoint. That also starts that cycle of war, something that we have to fight against. I'm finished. Hopefully, was that helpful to anyone? Hopefully, it was helpful. Any thoughts or questions? Is everyone still on there? It's completely quiet.
Oh,
We're
we're
still here, just
Oh, okay.
doing it all up. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well,
I hear your explanation, and I listen to Nick, and it just kind of dawns on me, if I'm getting this, I'm seeing this. We never stopped being spiritual beings. We never left uh, being one with Elohim. We lost our focus, and as we're moving back to that place, we're bringing balance back to not only ourselves but the universe.
Yes. Um, and going back, and we talked about it last week about Cain and Abel, and Cain and Abel essentially um, being, sorry, go ahead, about Cain and Abel basically being symbolic of the inner and outer ego, and that Cain, well, in Cain's mind, or from Cain's perspective, he killed Abel. But the entire time, he actually never killed Abel. Abel was always there to receive him and more so help him and assist him. And Abel was, like I said, it was part of him. In the same way, no matter what takes place in the physical reality, or in a sense, how far we for lack of better words, get off the mark, or how drawn we get into the physical reality alone, and we sense that we lose ourselves. Our inner ego is always there, protecting us in a sense, and it can never be annihilated. It can never be killed. And even outside of this physical reality, the same is still there, and it knows that it cannot um, be killed, and it never is and never was worried about being killed. Abel never fought back against Cain, because Abel was Cain was never a threat to Abel. In a sense, it was only that Cain saw Abel as a threat, but Abel never did anything. And still, Abel was always throughout the entire thing, still having love and compassion, understanding that Cain, in a sense, was, a part of itself, or was itself. And to make
Sheldon,
one, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to change away from what you were saying for just a moment. So if you'll finish your thought, I'll ask my question in a moment.
That it, what I was about to say might be a lot, and I wasn't going to elaborate on. So I won't say it. You can go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to talk about or ask you to speak about was how our own expectations of others can take us to a place of unbalance. And what I mean by that, we are always to have expectations, in my opinion, of people being able to have that capacity to change, and eventually will change if I stay in a place of balance and continue to be loving kindness. But I heard what Ron said at the beginning of the lesson about, he did a good thing. He worked so that other people could be off, but then you go in because we know who we are. If someone had done that for me, I would have made certain that coming in, they would have left things in a state that he could walk right in and have a good day. But what I heard him say was they left things in disarray. And as a result of that, that made him feel a certain type of way. And I think we are all guilty of that, because when we do good, when we do something that is really good, and we know we're helping someone, sometimes it leaves us puzzled as to why they couldn't reciprocate, or why they couldn't see that for what it was, the gesture was. And I'm not saying he did it expecting anybody to do anything good in return, but it's surprising when people don't think like we think. So could you speak to how our own expectations sometimes can take us to a place of unbalance?
Yes, our expectations on others affects us in a way that it's kind of like we get off balance, because we're not happy because situations did not turn out the way that we wanted them to turn out. But like I said, the key part about it is it affects us now. And I'm definitely not saying that this is my strong point at all. But in doing that, we also are judging people, and we're projecting ourselves onto others, expecting them automatically to be where it is that we are. And in that sense, it can also be honestly unfair to them because we, in the conversation we're talking about right now, are more aware or have more practice in these areas than they have. So it's actually unfair. So for those who don't know, and I still deal with this, but I have to remind myself all the time. So I used to drive an 18 wheeler, and one thing to get a CDL, you were considered as a professional driver. And of course, because you're more skilled and you understand more things that are going on with driving, you can see things that others cannot see. You have a greater depth of knowledge and understanding than the average driver. You are a professional. That's what a professional is. So it's not realistic or it's not fair for me then to get upset with people when they don't do things up to my standard. They're not supposed to be as great at this skillfully that I may perceive myself to be. It's not realistic. And so in the same way, and I'm saying definitely Sheldon as well, we can project things onto others and it's not them meeting our expectations and we're not actually showing or exercising patience with that individual. The same way that this is essentially a playground or a practice, or for us, it's the same way that it is for others. I've stressed and said many times to everyone because I don't want anyone and no one should beat themselves up about anything that has transpired or gone on in the past because they feel like they have missed the mark or something was right in their face and they missed it because it's not about that. The thing is, hey, we just learned something. I just learned something great. I had an empowering moment. Let's keep on going. That should be, the actual focus. Well, the same way that that applies to us, it's the same way that that applies to others. Just how I dropped the ball about something yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, whatever, is essentially the same exact thing that somebody else is going through at that particular moment. So as we start to, it it's kind of like a mirroring effect. How we interact and judge and view other people, or the same way that we act and judge and view ourselves. And so to give ourselves a pass, to give others a pass, um, be essentially an encourager or a cheerleader for others is the same way to do the same exact thing for ourselves. All of reality starts within ourselves. The way that we interact with reality and uh, interact with the physical world starts off and is already automatically a reflection of how we interact with ourselves. Both of them go hand in hand and cannot be separated.
Thank you, because I think that's important, because I think we do that a lot. I know I do, and I'm sure others do as well. And I just didn't want us to miss that when you're aware that you've done it, just regroup. Don't beat yourself up. Just, you all hear me say, I'll sit with it for a while. And if I sit with it and think about it and realize that, oh, you know what, that was my expectation, and I didn't even clearly convey to them that I needed for this to be done a certain way. And even if I had and they didn't do it, I can't allow myself to feel some type of way. Well, I may feel that way for a moment, but I can't stay there. And I just wanted to point that out because I think it's important, because I don't think Ron is alone in that feeling by any means. I think we all do it. And I just wanted us to not miss that. Thank you.
No, thank you. And the part that I also thought about is how people deal with things that happen in their lives, and all of us have experienced, whether that is something like mourning, well, any type of mourning. You can mourn relationships, whether it be romantic, familiar, parent, etc., or something that transpired in one's life. And there is really no set timetable, even though we like try to force that upon people. It's like you have to be over this particular thing. There are different things that need to be done on an individual basis for someone to actually get past something, and is in the same exact manner in terms of our expectations of people, that we cannot put a time frame on it, that they need to be at point B at this designated time in terms of their own personal progress. That in itself, with them being a spiritual, being as well, is up for them to do the work or whatever of progress, I guess, at their own pace. And no matter how, just going back to what I was just saying about good and evil a moment ago, no matter how bad any particular person may seem, uh, they have the luxury of growing or developing at their own pace, no matter how many different lifetimes and how many number of lifetimes with those cycles that Nick mentioned, in terms of the supposed like resting place to regroup before having another type of experience, whether it's similar or not. All of it is a part of all that exists and part of creation.
Thank you, Sheldon.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions on what Kathy and I were just talking about, or anything in particular? Well, if there's nothing else at this particular moment, thank all of you for coming and participating today, whether you said something or not. I believe your presence alone and attention helped to shape all that was revealed today and we discussed. And thank you all for your contributions, like I said, and all the questions and answers. And all of you have a great day.
Hey, Shelton.
Yes, ma'am.
Shelton. I'm probably won't be on tomorrow, but Reverend Richard said to remind him whether or not you're gonna have class on Monday. I sent him a text. He told me to remind him, but he must not be on. So remind him tomorrow about Monday.
He sent me a text and said we won't be on Monday. I was going to say it tomorrow. We can say it today as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I guess we won't be on tomorrow, everyone.
Well, yeah. We'll be, today's Saturday, right?
Correct.
We won't be on.
Yeah, we'll be on
Sorry,
tomorrow.
won't be on Monday. I said tomorrow. Won't be on Monday. Sorry, won't be on Monday.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the correction. I didn't even realize I said that.
Hey,
All right.
good day, good session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
You all too.
You too.